Hello and welcome to Module 2, Session 4. I hope the last session on learning where your starting point to weight loss is by identifying what your carb intake should be was a real stepping stone for you. Hopefully, as you learn these principles, you can see that weight loss really isn't as complicated as it's been made out to be. And hopefully, as you are becoming more knowledgeable about this, your self-confidence and mindset of belief is growing. Okay. So we've talked a lot about carbohydrates, simple and complex, and how excessive carbs cause us to gain fat weight and a decrease in carbs causes us to lose it. You've learned that eating meals high in simple carbs will cause us to be hungry sooner because our bodies digest these carbs quick. And eating meals low in complex carbs will leave us feeling fuller longer because our bodies digest this much slower. And now you know about how many calories a day you should consume from carbs to promote fat burning. Okay. Now, all that is great information, but how do we put it to work? I mean, okay, what foods are high in carbs and how do we know if they are simple or complex? And what's the difference between simple and complex carbs anyway? Okay, this subject can get really complicated, so we're going to simplify it. Both simple and complex carbs come from sugar. The difference in simple carbs comes from processed or refined sugar, that white granular stuff or corn syrup. Okay, this sugar is digested quickly and absorbed into the bloodstream, causing blood sugar levels to spike and insulin to go into overdrive to convert what it can to glucose, which is what our body uses for energy. Now, when we consume more of these simple carbs or added sugar than our insulin can convert, the excess sugar remains in our bloodstream. Okay, this excess sugar in our bloodstream causes all sorts of problems, including the storage of fat, which is what leads to weight gain and obesity. But if this condition is left unmanaged, type 2 diabetes can result. Additionally, over time, the sugar in our blood will damage the filters in our kidneys, eventually leading to chronic kidney disease, which is what I had. Now, this obviously does not happen overnight. The damage can take years. Okay. Now, when this occurs, the damaged filters are no longer removing all the toxins from our blood, which would normally be eliminated through our urine. Okay. But now some of these toxins are passing through our cardiovascular system because they're not being filtered out, which can eventually lead to heart disease. In an extreme case like this, dialysis becomes necessary, which is a machine that filters out our blood for us. In my case, I mean, I was very fortunate to catch it when I did, because if it had progressed to stage 4, it's unlikely I would have been able to heal my kidneys, even though I was told that even at stage 3, I would not be able to, but I did. Now, if you're curious and you want to know how well your kidneys are functioning, take a look at your last blood work. Look for EGFR. Okay, that number should be 60 or higher. Again, that's the number that tells you how well your kidneys are functioning. So let's look a bit deeper into the effect added sugar has on the body. Have you ever felt hungry all the time? Or maybe hungry after a pretty filling meal? Well, that could be because if you eat food or drink a beverage that is high in sugar, it will cause your blood sugar to go high. Now, if our body can't produce enough insulin to convert the sugar to glucose, the brain signals hunger to encourage eating. The higher amount of sugar in your blood, the stronger that hunger may feel. So, but why does this happen? I mean, why does our brain signal hunger when we have food already in our stomach? Simple, okay, because this modified substance called sugar screws with our brain, causing it to send false signals, basically. Okay. And this, of course, will lead to overeating because no one likes to feel hungry. I'm telling you, this sugar is weird stuff. It is, it's a controlled substance, not much different than a drug, really. So Our bodies were simply not designed to process this stuff in a healthy way. Here's some facts you might find interesting and things you should know about sugar. Okay. Sugar has a direct link to the single biggest cause of obesity. Obesity has direct links to 13 types of cancer. Sugar has indirect links to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, and gout. A 6-ounce container of Yoplait, I love this stuff, contains over 3 teaspoons of added sugar. A 16-ounce Jamba Juice Orange Dream, which used to be my favorite, contains 63 grams of sugar. That's 16 teaspoons. Okay, that's a teaspoon per ounce of that drink. That's astronomical. Okay, and this one might surprise you. An 8-ounce cup of milk, over 3 teaspoons of sugar. Why? Because it would probably taste awful without it, and you wouldn't buy it. Okay. So maybe now you have an idea why I'm so passionate about this subject. Okay. We have been seriously misled, and intentionally so, by the food industry. Okay. These mega companies have known for decades that sugar is an addictive substance. And who is their main target? Children. I mean, look at all the commercials on TV that are promoting those high sugary cereals, and they're using cartoons and they're using things that are going to make the children laugh or whatever. Okay, it's not much different than what the tobacco industry did, back in the 60s when they were marketing smoking as being cool and sophisticated. All right. So let's take a look at some examples of what we have been sold as being healthy. All right. Honey Nut Cheerios with milk, serving size 3/4 a cup. This used to be my last meal of the day before going to bed. And you and I know we don't do a 3/4 cup serving. For me, I triple that. Okay. Which would amount to 18 teaspoons of sugar right before bed. Okay. Pop Tarts, that tasty little treat for the children, because they don't have time for breakfast. You can give it to them while they run off to school. Over 7 teaspoons of sugar. Valley granola bar. Now, how can something with a name like that be unhealthy? Okay, but those 2 little bars, they're small, have 3 teaspoons of sugar. What about fruit juice? Okay, this one gets me every time because say like something like apple juice, the label says no added sugar. But the problem with fruit juice is all you are getting is the sugar in the fruit. You aren't getting the nutritious fiber or the potassium from the flesh of the fruit. Okay, this is why I'm opposed to juicers and juicing. They strip away all the nutrition from the fruit and leave you with just the sugar. So, okay, next time you're at the grocery store, just kind of wander around reading labels and see how much added sugar there is in nearly everything, keeping in mind that the amount they show is for portion size, not the whole container. Say you have a can and you see 150 calories on it, you go, cool, okay, but right below it, it says, there are 3 portions in this can. So that whole can is now 450 calories, and whatever amount of sugar in there is tripled. Okay. That's very important because a lot of people don't realize that. They're just going by what that first thing they read says. Okay. Now, from a personal perspective, I absolutely believe that sugar was the single biggest contributor to the extreme deterioration of my health and weight gain. I mean, at my worst, I calculated that between food and drink, I was consuming up to 85 teaspoons of it a day. Okay, let me put that into shocking perspective. Okay, that amounts to 13 ounces. Yeah, 13 ounces of scale weight. I was shoveling down over 3/4 of a pound of sugar per day. That's unbelievable. Now, you might be listening to this thinking, well, I'm not really big on sweets, so I'm really not consuming that much sugar, and I only drink diet soda. Well, if that's you, that's awesome. Okay. However, if you have extra weight, then you are getting some extra carbs from something. And most likely it's highly processed foods. Let's take a look at some examples that could be the culprit. Okay. Kraft mac and cheese. 1 cup, 50 grams of carbs. Okay. And how many of you eat just 1 cup? All right. 50 grams, that's 200 calories coming from those carbs. Okay. Here's a surprising one, probably instant rice. Now, the reason why instant rice is actually a simple carb because they take the whole grain rice, the wild rice as it comes from nature, and they strip away the shell that's around it. And they do that because that way it cooks much quicker, right? But when they do that, they're taking away all the nutrition from that. In its natural state, rice is a complex carb and good for you, okay? But 1 cup instant rice is 38 grams of carbs, 152 calories from carbs. Here's another surprising lean cuisine roast turkey dinner, 5 grams of carbs, including 17 grams of added sugar. And the grand finale, dun, 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 Marie Callender's chicken pot pie, the large size. Now, this is actually considered to be 2 servings, and even 1 serving of this is bad, okay? So if we eat the whole thing, which I would, then that would be 340 calories of the 930 calories come from 85 grams of carbs. So these are some pretty good examples of food that you may have thought was healthy, especially the lean cuisine, but could be contributing to your extra weight without even eating ice cream and cookies. So I hope this session has really opened your eyes to the types of food that are probably not only preventing you from losing weight, but causing you to gain. I also hope that this new knowledge about the harmful effects of sugar has on our body has really enlightened you to manage your sugar intake more closely. Okay. As I have said many times already, if you do nothing else, getting this one ingredient under control will have a significant impact on your health and weight loss goals. Okay, so we spent a lot of time just talking about simple carbs and sugar. So in the next session, we're going to focus on complex carbs, the good stuff, and the food choices that will lower your carb intake without leaving you hungry and unsatisfied. Okay. We'll also spend some time learning how to read food labels. I mean, did you know that there are over 60 different names for sugar? Meaning you may not see the word sugar in the ingredients, but another form of it is probably in it. That session is actually going to be fun. Okay. See you then.